right, so on desserts, guys, number one, they don't take that long as far as to mix up and get ready. The longest they take is cooking. Like you'll find, we'll probably get this all mixed up and ready within the next 30 minutes or so, but it'll take an hour to an hour and a half to cook in the oven, okay? Also, on dessert recipes, you can't skip steps. You know how we use on the dinner recipes, if we didn't like it, we left it out, things like that. The only things that you can leave out on these are like nuts and stuff like that. So like if you didn't get the walnuts, it's okay, you can leave that part out. But you can't leave bananas out of banana bread, okay? So we have to follow a lot of the recipes on our desserts, okay? The first thing that I'm gonna do is turn on my oven to 350. So I'm gonna get that done so that it's getting ready. All right. Then we're gonna start with number one. It says add the flour, baking soda, baking powder, and salt all together. So I've just got a glass dish, and I'm gonna start with the flour, and it's 1 cup and 3/4. Now, I have a whole cup, and then I have a 1/4 cup. How many 1/4 do I have to add together to get 3/4? 3, right. 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 gives me 3/4. So a whole cup and then 3/4 of a cup. Some of you may have a 3/4 cup, so you don't have to worry about adding it together, but I do not. So there's my cup. And then 1.
Excuse me?
Yes. Yes. 2. 3.
We have to get 1 cup.
A 1 cup and then 3/4 of a cup. So 1 and 3/4. So you're gonna need a whole cup, and then on that same cup, you're gonna need about 3/4 of it. So when you put it all in a thing, it looks like this. So 1 and 3/4 cups. All right, next we're gonna need the baking soda. So I bought baking soda like this. You can buy it any way you want. Sometimes it comes in a can, boxes is fine. On your baking soda, you're gonna need 1/2 of a teaspoon.
Excuse me.
That's this.
How much is a flour?
Flour is 1 and 3/4 cups. 1 and 3/4 on the flour. Once you have the flour, then you need to do 1/2 a teaspoon of baking soda. Make sure when you're getting the baking soda, you don't get clumps. And you're gonna add that right to the flour.
1 and 1/2?
No, just 1/2. All right, the next part is the baking powder. You need 1 teaspoon and 1/4. That's your small teaspoon. So you need a whole entire teaspoon. And try to get it as even as you can. And then about 1/4 of a teaspoon. And then for the salt, you're gonna need 3/4 of a teaspoon. So not all the way full, the baking powder. And that was 1 1/4 teaspoons. So you have the flour, which was 1 3/4 cups. Then you had the baking soda, which was 1/4 teaspoon. No, I'm sorry, 1/2 teaspoon. 1/2 teaspoon.
And what is the salt?
The salt, you have 3/4 teaspoon. And the baking powder, you had 1 teaspoon and 1/4. Alright, these are all called dry ingredients. That's because even if I mix them together, they're still going to be dry. There's nothing making them wet. So go ahead and mix all that together. Mix your salt and all that around, because we're going to need this for later on. Alright, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take another bowl. I've got a stand-up mixer that I use, so my bowl is metal. You're going to take another bowl and you're going to put your sugar in it. Sugar, you need 2/3 cup. Alright, this is my 2/3. So I'm going to add 2/3 cup. Alright, I used a 1/3 cup, so I had to put 2 of them in to make 2/3. Alright, and then to my sugar, I'm going to add my oil. The oil, you need 1/3 cup. So this one, and I need the whole cup full. 1/3 cup full of oil. And I'm going to dump that in with the sugar. Alright, once you have your sugar and your oil in the same bowl, you're going to mix them. So go ahead and start mixing those if you've got them ready. You're not adding anything else to it right now, just the sugar and the oil. Yes? Yep, just add them together. Mix them together.
I have put in the oil.
I'm sorry?
What should I put in the oil?
Sugar in the oil. The sugar and the oil should be in your bowl.
What cup?
Of the sugar, you need 2/3 cup, and the oil, you need 1/3 cup. And then, like I said, you're just going to mix them together.
Miss Blackmon,
Do what? What size cup do you have?
1 1/2, 1 1/2, 1.
Okay, so on the sugar, the 1 cup, fill it just a little over halfway. And then on the oil, a little bit, not halfway, just about that much oil. Okay? Uh-huh. And then, like I said, you're going to go ahead and mix the oil and the sugar. Alright, you'll know it's mixed when the sugar is all coated with the oil. Kind of looks like you have ice in there now. All right, are we good on the mixing so far? Thumbs up? Awesome. All right, now we're gonna add 2 eggs, but we're not gonna add them both at once. We're gonna add them one at a time. So I'm gonna add my first egg. So I just crack it, and I'm gonna add the whole egg in, and I'm gonna turn my mixer on. Yes.
Where should I put the eggs?
You put 1 in the mixture and you start mixing. So put 1 in with the oil and the sugar and start it mixing.
The flour? Putting the oil and 1 in the flour?
No, nothing in the flour. 1 in the oil and it'll start mixing, and then we're going to add the second one now. So they're both going in with the sugar. So they're both going in with the sugar. And one thing you want to do after you added the eggs, you want to wash your hands because you don't want the raw eggs on your hands. So make sure you wash your hands before you do anything else to get the raw eggs from cracking them off of your hands. And then I'm going to turn the beater on and let it beat the eggs in. Yes. All right, so once you beat both eggs into the sugar and the oil, it's going to be yellow. So it's going to be like a yellow batter. I see a lot of you mixing it. Good job, guys. Once you get that mixed, we're going to add the milk. And the milk, we need 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to get my milk. This is the tablespoon. The 1 tablespoon, and we're going to add 2 of those. 1, right to the egg, sugar, oil, then the milk goes in. Yes.
Is it this one or this one?
The big one.
What tablespoon tablespoons? Just one?
2. 2 tablespoons of milk.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. And then you're going to mix that up. Yep. And did you put your milk in it yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, add your milk and then mix it some more, okay? How are we doing? Are we doing good? Awesome. Okay, once we have the milk added in, then what we're going to do is we're going to take our flour mixture. Okay? So get your mixture with your flour and everything in it. Don't dump it in all at once. What we're going to do is, I've got a spoon in here and I'm just going to add a little bit at a time until I get it all blended in. So you're just going to add, it's called gradual. So you're just going to add a little bit at a time. All right? So turn on your mixer and add a little bit at a time. Once you get it all added, it's going to be really thick. Make sure you're getting it on the sides and all the way down to the bottom. It's going to be really thick like a cake batter. How are we doing? Good. Okay, once you have it mixed up like a cake batter, then you're going to take your bananas. And they're going to be very ripe. And you're just going to tear them apart and put them in a bowl. I'll show you one of mine in just a minute here. Okay, so this is my ripe banana, and I'm going to peel it, And usually when they're ripe, they're a little harder to peel. All right, and then I'm just gonna take it and break it into little pieces and put it in the bowl. Not in the bowl with your mixture, in a different bowl. I'm putting it back in the bowl I had my flour in. So you're just gonna break it apart and put it in that bowl. And you're gonna do that with 3 bananas. And they're gonna be soft and mushy.
Do I have to peel them?
Yes, they have to be peeled.
How many bananas?
3. And then once you got them in the bowl, I'm just using my spoon, but you can use a fork or whatever you want, and you're gonna mash them up. So it's just gonna look like mashed up bananas. You're not gonna have any huge pieces in there, so you're just gonna mash them up. Like I said, I'm just using the back of my spoon and mashing them. If they're not as ripe as mine, it's gonna take a little bit more pressure to mash them down. This is a good way you can do this and make banana bread whenever you have bananas that are starting to rot and you don't want to throw them away. You can make banana bread with them. And again, you're just mashing up all the big pieces. Once you think you have them all mashed up, I want you to stir them and make sure you don't see any big pieces. So see, when they're mashed up, they look like this. It's just mashed up bananas. Okay? Get them all good and mashed up. How are we doing? Good? All right. All right, once your bananas are mashed up, go ahead and add it to the mixture that you have that has the sugar and flour and everything in it. Just add it to that. You're not going to beat it yet, but just add it into that mixture. Now, this is where your recipe can vary from mine. If you are allergic to nuts, you may not want any nuts in it at all. I put walnuts in ours, or you can put pecans in yours, or like I say, you can put nothing at all. I just have a bag of walnuts, and you put 1/4 of a cup, and if you think that's enough, you don't add any more. I usually add 2 or 3 cups, 2 or 3 of the 1/4 of a cups. All right, and then once you have all the nuts in it you want and the bananas, you turn your blender back or your mixer back on and mix it all together. So once you have everything in there, go ahead and mix it together. You're gonna notice your batter goes from being really thick to really what I call watery because of the bananas. Make sure you get it all around the sides. Yes, put all that in it now.
But like it's already good. Like I know.
Yeah, but you can put the rest of that in there.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Because you want it to be, Maria, you want it to be really thick before you add the bananas and if you're going to add any nuts to it.
Okay, Miss Blackmon. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Maria, do you have your bananas in yet? Okay. All right. Way to go, guys. Maria, all the flour you have left, go ahead and add it. Then mix it really good. Good job. All right. Again, once you add your bananas to it, it's going to be runny. Okay? It's not going to be like a cake batter anymore. It's actually going to run. Like if I held my bowl up, let's see if I can do it. So once you have your bananas in it, it's really going to run a lot. I can't pour it much more. I'll be pouring it out, okay? So it's going to be good and runny once you get your bananas in it. And if you want to taste it, you can. It should taste like bananas. All right, after you have the bananas and nuts in it, your next step is to take a pan. It can be a little loaf pan like this. It can be a glass dish. It can be a pan like that. Yes, any kind of pan you want. Good job, Maria. You got your bananas in there?
No, Miss Blackmon.
It's supposed to be thick for that. Are your bananas in there now?
I want to use this pan.
Yes, that pan's fine. Maria, do you have your bananas in there yet?
No,
Okay, go ahead and add your bananas. And it'll start to thin out.
Will we put it inside the pan?
Yes, but before you put it in the pan, make sure you're spraying the pan with your vegetable oil. Okay? Spray the sides, the bottom. Spray it all around so it doesn't stick. And then you're just going to take the batter and you're just going to pour it into the pan very slowly. And it'll spread out as it pours.
Miss Blackman, I have a question.
Yes.
I want to add this. It's like chocolate with butter in it. So I can add it or it will got
No, you can add it if you want to.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
I want to make sure I get all my batter out and in my pan. Your pan will be pretty full. You can see mine's about 3/4 of the way full, depending on what size pan you use. Now, if you use one of the bigger pans, it won't be as full. That one's fine, yes. Yep, make sure you spray it. We doing good? Awesome. All right, once you get it poured all in your pan, you're gonna go ahead and put your pan in the oven. Set your kitchen timer to 1 hour, 60 minutes.
And we have to put it in, we put it in the oven at how
350 degrees,
and then how much time?
1 hour, 60 minutes.
How much, like, 200 or 100?
350. 350.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Yes.
So it,
That looks good. Looks really good.
okay.
All right, so you're probably ready to put it in your pan and go ahead and put it in your oven.
Okay.
All right, the last thing I want to show you before we get off today is this is one that's completely done, okay? When you think it's done, when it's been in there 30 minutes, you need to get either a regular kitchen knife, an ice pick, an hour, an ice pick or a toothpick, and you want to go right down in the middle of it, just like this, and when you bring it out, it should be clean. If it comes out and it's got batter all over it, it's not done, and you need to let it cook longer, okay? So that's the way you test it. Again, kitchen knife, right down in the middle, I bring it out and it's clean, all right? So that's how you test it to see if it's done.
Miss Blackmon, so this one I can use it for the...
Absolutely. You can use any kind of, just make sure you spray it with oil so it doesn't stick.
Got it.
Do I have any questions about today's banana bread? Everybody's doing good? Thumbs up if you have it in the oven. Good job. All right, guys, that's all there is to banana bread. Now you'll just have to keep an eye on it and check it. So once your timer goes off at 1 hour, I want you to check it just like I showed you, either with a toothpick or a knife or an ice pick. If it comes out and some of the mixture, some of your batter is still on it, you want to set it and let it cook longer, okay? Like the one I showed you that I cooked earlier, it actually took an hour and a half because of the pan I was using, okay? But then some of the other kids in the other class, it took an hour and theirs was done, okay? So just keep an eye on it, all right? If there's no more questions, make sure you send me pictures of you by your banana bread. I want to see your smiling face holding up your banana bread, okay? Send me pictures on my email, okay? All right, guys, once it's in the oven, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.